anybody representing our state government, here's an official visitor to the City Hall.
Really?
We just opened up this building about a month ago.
I'm honored to be the one.
So thank you for coming today. Our state treasurer, Dan Rutherford, and his staff. Bonnie
Jefferson.
with Dash for Cash, and we've already had somebody that found some money, I guess, so that was a good start.
There you go.
And we have county people here today. We have Sheriff Jeff Joran,
Jeff is here.
and we have Sherry Miller, County Clerk.
Circuit clerk.
Circuit Clerk, I'm sorry. See, I told you I'd goof up. And our Treasurer, Diane Powers. We're waiting for Representative Morthland to join us. He's running a little bit late, so he'll be coming in. And I just happened to look up today about all this bad things that's going on in the state of Illinois. Has been good for our investments, I understand.
Well, you know, there is a silver lining in every cloud. Right.
So that's good. That we're actually making some interest. Anybody else getting any interest off their money right now? The fact that we're getting some is just tremendous.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, Larry. Thanks so much. Actually, what the mayor was referring to, we've been very, and you'll appreciate this, we've been very sensitive about the investments of the state treasury and the safety and security, particularly what's been going on out in the nation's capital in Washington. And what we were referring to is, I have, yesterday morning, my investment team invested just under $3 billion, $2.9 billion for one night, an overnight investment. It was fluid cash that we had available. So what can we do to draw interest on it over a 24-hour period? Well, because of the angst that was going on in Washington, D.C., interest rates have slowly started to climb. Now, you may not have seen it at the retail level yet, directly with your car loans or home loans or something like that. But on the investment side, they are raising some. So we actually got about a third more in interest than we would normally make on an overnight investment. So that was the good thing. Now, the even better thing is, assumedly tomorrow, everything happens well, I guess the president did sign it. I understand he did sign it. Okay. So tomorrow, those interest rates will go right back down. So that's okay. I'd rather draw a little less interest to know that the stability of the American economy is on its feet. But thank you very much, Sherry, for all you do here, and Sheriff and Treasurer, and Mayor Lee. Thank you, Lee, your brother Gerald. Just finished up being the commander for the American Legion across the state of Illinois, so it's a very prestigious post, and thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
And if I keep babbling on long enough, in just 1 second here, I'm going to have a drum roll, and everyone welcome State Representative Rich Morthland. How'd I do, buddy? Good. Come on in and cool off here a little bit. I know you had some business to take care of, and just was watching time here. But one of the things that we're and Mayor, we appreciate very much you open up your City Hall to us like this. One of the things that I'm responsible for as the state treasurer is to receive what's called unclaimed properties. So if there is a lockbox at a bank that has not been active for a 5-year period or better, not active means the owner hasn't come in and opened it, the bill hadn't been paid. So for 5 years, it sat there idle. The bank, by law, is obligated to turn those contents over to me, the state treasurer. If there was a paycheck cut that, let's say a bonus check or a paycheck, and it got stuck in your blue jeans and got caught in the washing machine and you forgot about it, never did cash it, after 5 years, that company is responsible to turn that over to me, the state treasurer. Now keep in mind, all of these, at least the banks we know, try to find that person because they want to get paid for the lockbox and stuff, but sometimes people move. Maybe grandma had the lockbox and passed on, and the kids didn't know about it. So I today have about $1.5 billion in assets that we're trying to find the rightful owners for. Bonnie is here per the invitation of the representative to be with you. We have what's called cashdash. So what Bonnie has there in that computer is a listing of just under 10 million entries. Okay, so there's about 10 million entries in there. Now, it doesn't mean that you are in there just one time. Somebody, in fact, one of your colleagues, one of your state representatives, I'll tell you later on who it was, we brought it up when we were in his district, and his name was in there 96 times. So it meant there were 96, maybe a stock certificate, another stock certificate, a stock certificate, a savings account, a bank account, a lockbox, 96 times. So that we come up with 10 million names. You know, you can look up yourself, maiden name, a deceased individual, a relative, someone, neighbor, anyone like that, to see if we can try to identify who they are. Now, help me, Bonnie. If it is $100 or less, we say that, or $100 or more. Is that where the break is?
Yes.
$100. Okay.
Right.
So
Mine
you-
was less.
so the 20 cents you have coming. So what it is we can identify for the individual if it's $100 or less, or more than $100, because there's different paperwork. You have to have a signature notarized if it's over a certain amount and not if it's below. And some people will ask, well, what does it take to get it? Well, the most important thing for us is we got to make sure that you are the right one that is supposed to get it. So, and it may be in the case of an estate, if your grandparent had passed on, we may need a copy of the death certificate, we may need a copy of the will if you're the heir or something like that. So the bottom line is, we're here to try to help per the invitation of the representative, as well as you can go to treasurer.il.gov. So treasurer.il.gov, and that's my website for the state treasurer, and you go to the cash dash, and that will also open this up and will tell you, what you can do to try to search this. And but you won't have at that time. There was a benefit of a nice Bonnie Jefferson to help you do it. So, Representative, would you care to comment on this and anything else?
Well, I think this is an awesome thing that the treasurer has been doing. This is an opportunity for people who are owed money across the state. In fact, even my hired hand on the farm is going to be using this.
Did he find something?
He hasn't done it yet.
Okay.
He hasn't done it yet. But he heard about it, and so now
Good.
because he has some money he thinks is owed to him.
Good.
Good. So this is wonderful, and we really do appreciate the treasurer coming out here to Northwestern Illinois, reminding that he works for the entire state. It's exciting that he's here in Savannah, and really nice that he's able to take the time and help make this more known to the people of Illinois.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm from Central Illinois, and I've had the pleasure to be up here in Northwestern Illinois a fair bit. And Sheriff, it's good to see you again, and of course, Madam Chairperson, it's good to see you, and working very closely with your treasurer. And would you, Pat and Josh, be sure we fill our tank with gas so we leave the mayor a little more fuel tax before we go? How's that, Larry? Yeah. We don't have a lot of space in the tank, but what we got, we'll leave with you. Great. What kind of questions can the representative I try to answer for you? Or any comments or suggestions for us?
You had mentioned feeling a little more stable now that the president signed the debt ceiling bill, whatever you want to call it, but it seems to me a lot of the people that I've spoken with are more uncomfortable with the fact that there's not a lot of spending cuts.
Right.
Do you think that's going to affect the state of Illinois down the road?
Well, when you say anything Washington does will affect some way us down the road. Okay, so let me be real candid with that. And also, I want to be very careful as you selected and heard my comments. Whatever the content of that bill was, and whatever the politics to that bill was, happened. And my role as the treasurer of the state of Illinois was looking at if that debt ceiling did not get resolved, it would have had cataclysmic issues for my role as treasurer for you. Now, whether it was the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it is for the folks in Washington to sort out and the people you talk to have opinions on. I'm being very, very careful to make sure that my role as a treasurer is to, number one, priority, absolute priority, is to safeguard the state treasury. Don't lose any money. Secondary, if I can, bring in a little interest. But I take no risk for the state treasury, and that also costs us perhaps as opportunity factors, but that's where I'm at. So, it is resolved. As the state treasurer of Illinois, I'm pleased that it's resolved. All right, if not,
Representative, I just wanted to say thank you for stopping up the other day. I understand you stopped by the office on Thursday after the floods and checking on us.
Well, thankfully, we can say that it actually was after the floods. We didn't get that double whammy that we had last year that really caused all the problems. And so it was. Hey, it's my job. I want to take care of the people of Carroll County because, I mean, especially with what happened last year. we're all extremely sensitive to flash flooding and these heavy rains that we've had repeatedly. And so, you know, I'm glad you guys were all on top of it. And I want to thank the Savannah Fire Department for doing all those water rescues. When I heard water rescues, I was thinking, whoa, no, we have problems out in the river. Heck, they're running into farms and going all over.
Let me tell you, the Savannah Fire Department was tremendous. They
Yeah.
really were. We were out north of Mount Carroll, way out in the boondocks, and rescuing people out there. And I think our last one was out at the Army Depot late in the afternoon. So.
Actually, I was actually out at the Army Depot, and I was leaving as they were coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was out there, I was driving all the way out there, and I thought, cell phone service is spotty, the river's coming up, and no one knows I'm here. But
You were right ahead of me, I knew you were there.
Okay. No, but
But I was worried about getting back.
because it was coming up. But you know, but things turned out okay. And again, unlike last time, we got the folks down the Quad Cities to pay some attention and make sure that they knew that you guys might be having needs. As it turned out, it ended better than it did a year ago. So thankfully, that's okay. We got some better weather, and if it storms again now, we'll be able to take it.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Sharon. That's good.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, if nothing else, we'll have a chance to talk individually. Thanks for being out here. And don't let anybody walk out the door without checking at least one name on it, right?
Okay, I'm here with Representative Rich Morthland from Quad Cities, and as a freshman representative, how are things going in Springfield so far, Rich?
Well, good and bad. I came in, I was sworn in 12 hours after they passed that big tax increase. People say, what was it like? I say, like it was being dropped in the eye of a hurricane. A big storm had just come and looked like more was on the way. But I have to tell you, I was actually pleased in my first session in Springfield. People came ready to work. We did the best job of putting together a budget in 20 years. Those are the speaker's words, not mine. We actually did a process that was right with real appropriations, line items. You know, you think about it, recently what's happened with the budget in the state of Illinois is that it gets tossed on lawmakers' desks about 3 hours before they're supposed to vote on it. The last 2 years, there were no line item appropriations. The General Assembly just sent a lump sum to the governor and said, you spend it however you want. This time we went through line by line. I was on the Higher Education Appropriations Committee. We went through and we made cuts where we needed to make them. It wasn't always easy, it wasn't always fun. And you know, was it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But for heaven's sakes, Illinois is in horrible financial shape, and we have to start making good decisions to replace the bad decisions. Now, also, I was very pleased that I got my first big bill through this year, which was HB 3500, which was to keep people's FOID card information private. And that's just the kind of thing that doesn't need to be out there. Freedom of information rules exist to protect us and make sure we can get an eye on government. It's not so that bad people can spy into the private lives of good people. And so the governor did sign that. It's public law, and that's taken care of. So I was very pleased with that. We also had a companion piece, a resolution that is going to, actually it's ongoing. It called for an audit of the state police and their administration of the FOID program to find out what some of the problems are. Are the right people being refused, the right people getting guns? And also, too, why does it take so long to get a FOID card? Some things like that. There are other issues we worked on. I was very pleased to get through a resolution that's going to have a study by COGFA, which is an arm of state government, to find out how much money we're losing because of our sales tax on gasoline. Now, I live about halfway between the Quad Cities and Thompson, a little bit closer to Thompson than Savannah. But the thing is, where we live, and I know here where you guys live, people drive across the river to fill up with gas. In fact, it's a little embarrassing to me because I have these state plates that show I'm a member of the General Assembly. Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to have, we are launching a study. The report should come back this fall. How much is it costing the state of Illinois to have this kind of policy? And so those are some of the things I was able to accomplish. You know, it's a good run at it for a freshman. And the other thing, of course, is that's one side, the legislative side. The other side is things like we're doing today. The constituent service, try to take care of our constituents. Obviously, there's mention that I came up last week when there were the heavy rains and we had, you know, comparatively light flooding to a year ago, but it was still pretty serious. And we were all very concerned. Well, I wanted to come up right away, get my eyes on it so that I could see what was going on. And if we needed to take strong action immediately, then we could. We were ready. Thankfully, that was a whole lot better than last year when the storms came and then the floods came, and help didn't come very fast. We wanted to be in a position where if we needed to do something like we had to do last year, that we got it done in a more timely manner. So, that's just the last week.
It was a rough week.
Right, no, it was. And then also, too, last week started with me having to deal with the electrocution of those poor kids with the detasseling. And none of the young people who were killed were from my district, but many who were injured or hospitalized or who need counseling now because they were part of it are from my district. And so obviously too, growing up on the farm, having raised seed corn, having it raised under an irrigator, we know a whole lot more about that than your typical Springfield legislator. So
That's for sure.
yeah.
Speaking of the flood, Senator Jacobs was up Friday of last week with a representative from Senator Durbin's office, mainly to assess the situation over on Portland Avenue where that railroad berm has washed out twice in a row. And
Right.
I think their concern is there anything that the Corps of Engineers can do, or even IDOT to try to shore up something a little different? Not that we're going to get 14 inches of rain again, but it has happened twice in a row.
2 years in a row.
And I just wish that there was something we could tell the citizens as to what the government can do, because it certainly isn't anything that a private individual can.
No, it wouldn't be. This would have to be a government solution. Now, it's a very complex situation. We have a railroad earthwork that has been there doing a job that it was never intended to do, and now it's failed twice to do that job. So we have to have people who really understand hydrology and all of that take a look and see what we can do to stabilize the situation. And so, yes, I'm glad the senator's working on it, and of course the senator and I work closely together. That's something we talk about a lot. There was a notoriously bad relationship with my predecessor and the senator. Well, the senator's family. You have to talk about his dad too. But the Senator Jacobs and I, everywhere we go, make it very plain that we work together and we get along. We want to do so. It's a non-party issue. It's that we deserve to have two people in Springfield working hard for us in this district, and that's an important thing that we want to have going forward that we've had absent. And so, yes, he and I work together very well.
It's good to hear that. And one other question regarding the state, Illinois has historically seen revenue increases every year in spite of the deficit spending. With this new income tax increase, has there been any statistics yet? How is revenue coming in for the state?
Revenue's coming in pretty much as we projected. If you recall, the governor came in with a revenue estimate, and then the Senate came in with a revenue estimate that was $1 billion less. Then the House came in with a revenue estimate that was another $1 billion less. It looks like the House was right, but there are greater revenues. There have been some improvements in the economy, and of course, the higher tax rates are having an effect. Now, of course, the plan is for those to sunset. We want to see them sunset sooner than later, get back to a lower tax rate. I will say this, and it was not something I had expected, but I think at least in the House of Representatives, the fact that they had expended all that political capital to go ahead and raise that income tax, I think made the Speaker in particular, and also we have a narrow margin between Republicans and Democrats in the House, narrower than it's been. So I think those two factors came together to make the Speaker really want to work hard to do the budget process right and have it be responsible. And so we had a process where it was responsible, that we came in and we made resolutions to say, let's pay our first bills first. And our first appropriations were to pay the bills that we can't escape. And then we went and we looked and said, well, we're only going to spend money we actually got. We're not going to overspend money. Then we had another resolution, as I mentioned, that made an estimate of what we thought we would have for incomes. And so far that's been working out. So yes, I mean, what we've had now is a huge step toward financial responsibility. You end up in trouble when you make one decision, a bad decision, and another bad decision, and another bad decision. Hopefully, if we keep making good decision after good decision after good decision after good decision, that'll get us a future that's strong and bright in Illinois. And I think probably all the huge influx of new members, the big votes that they made during the lame duck session, and the fact that the balance is pretty tight is really making the Illinois House be responsible and accountable to the people. That's exciting. It's better than I expected. You know, I was disappointed. I'll tell you, my biggest disappointment was finding out how many laws in the state of Illinois are either Chicago only or everybody but Chicago. We have 2 bodies of law in this state, and that's not good. We should be one state, and that was very frustrating. It's something I would like to work against in the future, is having these 2 separate bodies of law.
Well, that should be an interesting battle.
Yeah.
Keep us posted.
I will.
Well, thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Tom. It's always great to talk to you.